The signal in the dark. The wind was dry and full of dust. Broken metal, burned wires, and old machines covered the ground. This place was once a battlefield. Now it was just silence and trash. Ray walked alone through the wasteland. He wore a heavy jacket, torn gloves, and a rusty mask to cover his face. His scanner beeped slowly in his hand. He was searching, as always, for food, for parts, for something useful, maybe even something alive. Nothing again, Ray whispered. His voice sounded small in the empty world. Then suddenly, the scanner made a sharp beep. Not once, again, and again. Beep, beep, beep. Ray stopped walking. He looked at the small screen. It showed a weak signal, something old and strange. It wasn't human. It wasn't normal. That's not from here, he said softly. He turned and followed the signal. The beeping grew faster. His heart did too. He climbed over a broken tank, stepped around crushed helmets. He walked until the signal became strong. Now it was loud, high-pitched, almost crying. He stood in front of a pile of trash, old metal, black wires, and pieces of alien machines. And there, under the junk, he saw a small, blinking light. Red. Faint. He pushed the metal aside carefully. Then he saw it, a broken alien escape pod, half covered in dirt and rust. The door was jammed shut, but the scanner was still alive, after all these years. "How are you still working?" Ray said. He pulled out a metal tool and started working on the door. He didn't know what was inside. Maybe something dangerous. Maybe nothing. The lock clicked. Steam hissed from the side. The door creaked open slowly. Inside it was dark. Too dark. Then, he heard something. A sound. A tiny cry. It was soft. Like a child. "Hello?" Ray called out. Silence. Then another sound. A whisper. Like a frightened breath. Ray turned on his flashlight and stepped closer. Inside the pod in the corner, something moved. He saw them. A figure. Two, actually. A tall shape, thin and shaking. And a smaller one beside it, hiding behind. An alien mother and her child. The mother was injured. Her skin pale gray, eyes glowing faint blue. Her clothes were torn. She looked up at Ray with fear, her arm protectively around the child. Ray stepped back slowly. He raised his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. The mother coughed. Her voice was weak. "Please. Help." The child peeked out. Small, big eyes full of fear. No older than 5 in human years. Ray dropped to one knee. He pulled out a water bottle and held it out. "You're safe," he said. "I won't leave you." The child took a step forward. She looked at the bottle, looked at her mother. The mother nodded. With small hands, the child grabbed the bottle and drank quickly. "How long have you been in here?" Ray asked. The mother whispered. "Years. We were running. The war. We hid." "You were in this pod the whole time?" She nodded. "How did you survive?" "Energy core. Slowed time inside," she said. "But it's breaking now." Ray looked around. Wires were sparking. The life support system was dying. "You can't stay in here. This pod won't last." The mother looked at him, weak but serious. "Then take my daughter. Save her." "No," Ray said firmly. "I'm not leaving either of you." The child looked up at him again. Her eyes were different, full of sadness, but also trust. "What's your name?" Ray asked her gently. She didn't speak, just pointed at herself and whispered. "Z, I'm Ray," he said with a smile, "and I'm going to help you both." He pulled out a blanket and wrapped it around them. He reached into his bag and gave them his last food bar. "Come on," he said. "I know a place. It's not much, but it's safe." The mother tried to stand but collapsed. Ray caught her. "I've got you," he said. He lifted the mother in his arms. Z held onto his jacket, walking beside him. As they moved through the junkyard, the wind howled louder, but something had changed. Ray had walked alone for years. Now he was not alone. Behind him, the alien pod's light slowly blinked out. Dead, but in Ray's arms, and by his side, life had begun again. The survivors. The night was colder than usual. Ray had taken them deep into the scrapyard. Between broken towers of alien wreckage and rusted machines, he had built a small underground shelter years ago. It wasn't much, just a space carved into an old cargo ship buried in trash. But it had kept him alive, and now it would have, to keep 3 lives safe. He laid the alien mother on a soft pile of blankets. Her breathing was slow, weak, but alive. The child Z sat close to her mother, silent. Her large eyes followed Ray's every move. She didn't speak. She didn't cry, just watched. Ray didn't know what to say. He wasn't good with people. He hadn't seen another living soul in years. Now suddenly, he was responsible for 2. He heated water in an old human kettle, using wires connected to a solar panel he'd fixed long ago. He handed the cup to the mother. She tried to hold it, but her hands shook. Z took it from her gently and helped her drink. Ray watched them, wondering. Who were they? How had they survived this long in a broken pod? And most of all, why did he care so much? My name is Ray, he said softly, breaking the silence. The mother looked at him. Her voice was barely there. Era. Ray nodded. And your daughter? Z. You've been hiding here? Since the war? Era closed her eyes. Her face tightened. Yes. But the war ended 9 years ago. Era opened her eyes again. Something painful lived inside them. Not for us. Ray didn't ask more. Not yet. The next morning, Ray stepped outside, scanning the skies. The war had ended, but the world wasn't safe. Not for humans. Not for anyone. Something caught his eye. A small black dot in the sky. Floating. Moving. His heart skipped. He grabbed his binoculars. It was a drone, alien make. Not military, but worse. Scavenger tech. Bounty hunters. The kind that sold living survivors to black market labs. Especially rare species like Era and Z. Ray rushed back underground. You're not safe here anymore, he told them. We have to hide you deeper. Era tried to sit up, but her body failed her. We can't run. Then we don't run, Ray said. We hide better. We survive. That evening, Ray cleared out a hidden tunnel at the back of the ship. It led to an old escape chute, narrow and tight, but hidden under a pile of twisted metal. He began rebuilding it into a second room, slowly, carefully. He worked late into the night, using scrap metal and broken screens as walls. He placed insulation, created heat lines using old alien tech, and set up a motion sensor to detect anyone near. Inside the new room, he added drawings on the wall, stars, planets, and shapes. Just to make it feel less cold, when he came back to check on them, Z was asleep beside her mother. Era was awake. Why are you doing this? She asked. We're not your kind. Ray didn't answer for a moment. He sat beside her. Because I've seen enough death, he finally said, and I think I'm tired of surviving alone. Era looked at him. Her eyes softened. We weren't soldiers, she whispered. We were researchers, scientists. My husband was a translator. He died during the retreat. I was trying to get Z out when the pod crashed. I put us into stasis, but something damaged the system. It failed slowly. How long were you awake? Days, maybe weeks. It was a blur. Z stopped talking, stopped laughing. She just waited. Ray felt a weight in his chest, the kind he hadn't felt in years. She'll speak again, he said. Kids are stronger than we think. Not in this world, Era replied quietly. He looked at her. Then we'll build a better one. 3 days passed. Ray built them a home, warm, hidden, and strong. He shared his food, his water, his books, even the small toy robot he once found in the dirt. He gave it to Z. She didn't smile yet, but she held on to it. Ara's wounds healed slowly, but her fear remained. Then one night, everything changed. Ray was asleep. Z was beside her mother. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed from the sensor Ray had installed. A warning. Someone was nearby. Ray jumped up, grabbed his old rifle, checked the camera feed. A figure. Tall. Armored. Scanning the wreckage with glowing red eyes. "No," Ray whispered. "They found us." Ara woke up, saw the look on his face. "Hide Z," she said quickly. Ray nodded. He took Z into the tunnel, placed her behind a wall panel. "Don't make a sound, okay?" he whispered. "I'll come back for you." Z didn't speak, but her hand grabbed his tightly for a second, then let go. Ray returned to the surface. The figure was searching the area, slowly, carefully, trained. Not a scavenger. A hunter. Ray stepped behind a large engine and took aim. He didn't want to fight, but he would. Before he could act, the hunter's voice spoke through a radio. "Life signs detected. 2 alien, 1 human. This is a high-value target zone. Awaiting backup." Ray's blood ran cold. Not one. A team. He had only one choice now. Either run and lose everything or fight and protect what he'd just started to care about. He looked at the stars above, then down at the dark shelter below. He made his choice. He whispered, "They're not taking you." The safe haven of trash for hours, Ray didn't sleep. He stood in silence behind a wall of crushed ship parts listening. Above ground, the enemy moved like shadows. Searching, waiting, hunting inside the shelter. Ara and Z stayed quiet, hidden, still, like ghosts. Ray had taught them not to speak, not to move, not to breathe too loudly. He had seen hunters like these before. They didn't ask questions. They didn't show mercy. They scanned heat signatures and tore through ruins like vultures. They sold what they found to labs, armies, or collectors. But this time, Ray had something more to protect. A reason to fight, a reason to outsmart them. By morning, the danger passed. The scanners went silent. But Ray knew they would return. Next time with more men, bigger machines, sharper eyes. He had one option left. Disappear, not by running, by burying the entire shelter so deep, so cleverly, that no one would ever know it existed. "We can't stay here," Ray said, kneeling beside Ara. She was stronger now. Her wounds had closed, her mind clearer. "They'll come back," he continued. "I'll build something better, something they'll never find." Ara looked tired, but calm. "You've already done too much." Ray shook his head. "Not enough. Not until you're safe." Over the next week, Ray worked like a machine. He searched the wasteland for old engines, broken doors, alien steel, human tech, anything he could use. He tore apart 3 dead war machines and dragged the pieces home. He built new walls using old alien plating, designed to block scanners. He layered the entire shelter with heat-masking fabric he found in an old stealth ship. He even reprogrammed a group of broken cleaning bots to patrol above ground, pretending to be wild machines. A trick to confuse the drones. But the most important, change was underground. Ray found an old waste tunnel, unused since the war. He connected it to the back of the shelter, carving a hidden escape path. A second exit, in case they had to vanish. He moved the sleeping quarters deeper, 3 levels, down, and then he built something no one would expect. Z had stopped speaking after the drone sighting. Her eyes looked dull again, her little body tense. Ray noticed, so he made her a surprise. In the deepest corner of the shelter, under layers of steel and wire, Ray built her a room. A real one. Not just metal and shadows. He used plastic panels to create smooth walls, painted stars and moons across them using old glow paint. He even fixed a broken projector, connecting it to a human memory core. That night when the projector came on, The ceiling lit up. Blue sky, clouds, birds flying. Z stared in silence. Then slowly, for the first time in days, she smiled. Ray's heart cracked open. He sat beside her. "This is your room now. It's safe, and it's yours." She looked at him. "Safe?" Ray nodded. "I promise." She didn't say more, but she reached out, and for the first time, she took his hand. Ara watched it all from the doorway. "She hasn't held anyone's hand since her father died," she whispered. Ray said nothing, just squeezed Z's hand a little tighter. "You built her a sky," Ara said. "Out of trash." "Yeah," Ray replied. "Trash can still mean something, if you use it right." Ara smiled, but peace never lasted. Late one night, while Ray was scanning the outer walls, he picked up something strange. A noise, not human, not mechanical, a deep vibration. A low hum that passed through the floor like a heartbeat. "What is that?" he whispered. He followed the sound through the lower tunnels. In one forgotten hallway behind a door he hadn't touched in years, he found it, an old alien power cell, buried under rubble, not dead, just asleep. And now, it was waking up. Ara inspected it later, her eyes widened. "This isn't just a battery," she said. "It's a living core, bioreactive." "Meaning?" Ray asked. "It reacts to life, to presence. It can grow, change, and it remembers things." "Memories? Of what?" "War, movement, fear." It was part of a command ship. These things, they sometimes develop behavior. Like an animal. "Can it help us?" "Yes," Ara whispered. "If we can bond it to the shelter, it might protect us." The bonding process took 2 days. Ara used old alien code and human tools to connect the power core to the shelter's systems. The lights flickered. Walls shifted. Even the temperature changed. Warmer in the sleeping room, colder in the storage. Area Z named the core Moro. "Why Moro?" Ray asked. Z shrugged. "Sounds like protector." From that moment, everything felt different. When someone walked near the shelter above ground, the walls cooled. When Z cried, the lights dimmed gently. When Ray had bad dreams, he woke to find soft hums all around him, like the shelter was comforting him. It wasn't just a hiding place anymore, it was alive and it was home. But safety comes at a cost. 3 days later, the drones returned. This time they didn't scan. They fired. A missile hit the wasteland nearby, shaking the ground. Ray stood still, listening to the echo. "They're not searching anymore," he said. Ara nodded. "They know someone is here." Inside the shelter, the walls vibrated. Moro's lights pulsed red. Z clutched her toy robot, hiding in her sky room. Ray loaded his rifle. "We can't stay hidden forever," he said. Ara looked at him. "Then what do we do?" He stared at the ceiling. "We fight, smart. We turn trash into traps. We turn this place into a ghost. And after that, we find a way out." "To where?" He looked toward Z. "Someplace she can finally grow up without fear. They are not alone." The air was no longer still. For weeks, Ray had built the shelter into a hidden fortress, buried deep under trash, wired with traps, protected by Moro, the living core. For weeks, they had lived without fear. But now, silence above was different, too quiet. One morning, Ray climbed a lookout point built from stacked war junk and burned out alien vehicles. From there, he watched the horizon. That's when he saw it. Not a drone this time. Not a hunter. A ship. Sleek. Silver black. Hovering just beyond the mountains of wreckage. It didn't move like a scavenger's ship. It hovered slowly. Scanned. Then stopped. Like it was waiting. Watching. Ray narrowed his eyes. "They know we're here," he muttered. He climbed back down fast. "It's not just hunters anymore," Ray told Ara. "That ship is different. Military design, high-tech, not built for capture, built for collection." Ara froze. Her expression turned hard. "You said the war ended." "It did," Ray said. for humans at least. But clearly someone kept hunting survivors. Era looked away. They're not here for bounty. Then what? They're here for silence. Ray stared at her. Explain. Era closed her eyes. Before the war ended, my people tried to stop it. Not with weapons, with information. We found something. What? A lie. The war wasn't between two sides. It was started by a third. Ray's heart skipped. What third? Era looked up. The ones who now want us dead? Later that night, while Era helped Z sleep, Ray activated an old radio system he'd kept hidden, a long-range frequency, used during the final year of the war. He hadn't used it in almost a decade. He tuned into static. Slowly. Carefully. Then, a voice. Cracked. Distant. But human. Repeat. Safe zone confirmed. Martian Arc-Hab 7 open to survivors. Code red. Class still under threat, scanning. Ray's eyes widened. They're alive, he whispered. He tapped the mic. This is Survivor Unit Ray 03, located in Sector 9G, Earth Grid Western Zone. Not alone. 2 alien civilians, non-combat, requesting shelter. The static stretched for a moment, then a reply. Ray 03, signal locked. Extraction impossible in current zone. Hostile scans detected. Fallback required to Green Path Echo. Ray sat back. We need to move, he said aloud. The next morning, the shelter felt different. Morrow's lights flickered yellow, a warning pattern. The walls shivered slightly like it could feel something getting closer. Then the alarm triggered. A soft chime. Not urgent, not loud, but clear. Motion above. Ray and Era rushed to the main panel. A camera feed lit up. It showed something moving near the top of the scrapyard. Not a drone. Not human. A creature. Tall. Hunched. Covered in dark armor like melted glass. Eyes glowing like fire under the skin. It moved slow, sniffing the air, scanning the trash with long, crooked fingers. What is that? Ray whispered. Era stepped forward. Her voice was low and sharp. A collector. That's not a machine. No, it's worse. It's alive, and it remembers everything. Ray tightened his grip on his rifle. Can it find us? Not yet, but if it hears us, or smells fear, it will. Z stood in the hallway clutching her toy. Quiet, but watching. Ray knelt beside her. Do you trust me? He asked. She nodded. Then stay quiet, no matter what. The next 12 hours passed in slow terror. The collector didn't leave. It circled the scrapyard, dragging long cables behind it, attaching small orbs to the ground. They beeped, scanned, listened. Traps. Ray watched it through the camera. They're mapping the whole area, he said. They're not just looking. They're preparing for something. A purge, Era whispered. How do you know? Because my people created those orbs, long ago. They're made to destroy biosignatures, burn everything organic, clean the area completely. Then we don't have time. Ray worked fast. He triggered every defense system they had. He activated the decoys, bots pretending to be survivors. He programmed Morrow to protect Z's room at all costs. But when he tried to plan an escape route, something unexpected happened. Morrow shut down the exit tunnel. What the hell? Ray said. Morrow, open the tunnel. Now. The lights flashed red twice. Access denied. Era checked the core. It's thinking. Thinking what? Morrow's trying to protect. And it knows if we go outside now, we'll die. Ray cursed under his breath. Then we wait? No, Era said. We prepared to make this shelter invisible, completely. Can we do that? With my species cloaking code and Morrow's memory? Maybe. They worked through the night, Ara, coded from memory, her fingers shaking from exhaustion. Ray rewired old alien panels to sync with Morrow. They fed the core everything. Heat maps, signal distortions, static pulses, and just before sunrise, it worked. For 1 second, the entire shelter vanished from radar, then it blinked back. Not enough power, Era said. Ray looked at the old engine deep in the tunnel, once part of a crashed war mech. It had power left. Unstable, dangerous. If I hook that engine to Morrow, it might fry everything. Or cloak us for good, Era said. Ray didn't hesitate. He connected the wires. The engine groaned. Sparks flew. Morrow screamed. A low hum that shook the walls. Then the lights turned blue. Outside, the collectors paused. The orbs blinked, then turned off, one by one. They had lost the signal. Z watched from her star room. She saw the danger fade. For now, she walked to her drawing wall, picked up a piece of chalk, and drew a picture of her family, her mother Ray and herself, standing under a sky full of stars. Above it, in alien letters, she wrote one word: hope. But miles away, aboard the ship, a figure stood, in a dark control room, not human, not alien, something else. It watched the feed. Subject has activated the living core, the voice said. The human has bonded. Another voice replied. Then we were right. Humanity is evolving. Prepare for full retrieval, the first said. We need them alive, especially the child. The trap and the choice. The ground hadn't shaken like that since the last great battle, but now it trembled again. Ray stood at the top of the shelter, staring through a small viewing slit between two bent sheets of alien steel. The air outside was thick with smoke and dust. Distant fires burned in the scrapyard. Something massive had landed. The collectors were no longer alone. A dropship, larger than anything Ray had ever seen, now sat between the ruined hills of war metal. Its legs had carved deep holes into the earth, and its engines still hissed. With heat, around it moved black-armored soldiers with no faces, no insignias. They're not here to search, Ray said. Ara joined him silently. Then why are they here? She asked. He pointed toward the soldiers. They were dragging large containers, setting up strange equipment. Some pointed scanners at the ground. Others poured liquid into the soil that began to glow. They're preparing something, Ray said. Something big. A cleansing, Era whispered. Ray turned sharply. What do you mean? They're going to erase this whole region, burn the land, wipe all life signs. It's their final move before they leave. Ray's eyes narrowed. Then we have one chance to stop it. Deep underground, Z was drawing again. She sat in her star room, sketching the silver ship above with chilling accuracy. She had never seen it up close, but her drawings were exact. Every line, every edge, even the symbols on its hull. Morrow pulsed softly in the corner. It had started reacting to Z's presence more strongly. When she touched its surface, it changed shape slightly. Sometimes it glowed with blue lights like veins. Once it even whispered something in an alien language Ray couldn't understand. Why does it respond to her like that? Ray asked Era. Era looked pale. Tired. She had suspected something. Now she was sure. Because Z isn't just my daughter, she said. She's something more. Ray stared at her. What do you mean? Before the war, we were working on genetic empathy, ways to bond sentient technology with living minds. To make peace, not weapons. Z was born during that project, not planned, but special. Her presence calms the core, stabilizes it. So, she's bonded to Morrow? No, Era said. She is Morrow's key. That night, Ray made a decision. I'm going out, he said. No, Era said instantly. You won't survive. They won't stop until they find us. But if I go out first, if I draw them in, we can set the trap. You'll die. Maybe, Ray said. But you won't. Z won't. He knelt beside the child. She looked up, her wide eyes silently asking if he was leaving her. Ray smiled. I'll come back. Promise? Z whispered. Ray hesitated. Promise, he said. But in his heart, he didn't know if that was true. Ray moved fast. He dressed in scavenger armor, masking his face, and carried a fake heat beacon. He scaled the junk tower near the landing site and activated the beacon from the highest point. Within minutes, the enemy noticed. The soldiers rushed forward. Scanners beeped. They believed they had found the source. Ray fired a single shot into the air, not to hurt, but to be seen. Then he ran. They followed. What they didn't know was that they were walking into a field wired with more than trash. Ray had spent the last 2 nights planting old explosives, hacking leftover alien drones, and reprogramming trap mines. The first explosion tore through the nearest patrol. Metal flew. Dust rained. The air screamed with alarms, but Ray didn't stop. He lured them into the narrow paths of the scrapyard, where walls of old metal turned into deadly corridors. A second blast collapsed an entire tower of rusted ships on top. Of 3 soldiers, Ray ducked, rolled, and kept running. He wasn't aiming to win. He was aiming to buy time. Below, the shelter came alive. Morrow, powered by Z's connection, began humming louder. The walls glowed gently. Panels opened. For the first time, the core began forming projections. Maps, escape routes, danger signals. It's building something, Era whispered. A full defense shell. Around us? Z asked. Around you, she replied. Ray had reached the final point, the last trap. He crouched behind a shattered shuttle, covered in dirt and sweat. Blood from a small wound ran down his arm. The soldiers were closing in. Too many now. He could feel his lungs burning. He could feel the end, but he smiled. He pulled the final trigger. A massive chain reaction erupted through the junkyard. Fire, debris, and metal flying in every direction. Several collectors were torn apart. The scanners fried, smoke covered the sky in the chaos. Ray vanished. In the shelter, the lights blinked off for 1 second, then back on. The escape tunnel opened. Morrow had completed its calculation. Era stared at the map. There's a safe zone 60 kilometers from here, she said. If we follow the underground path, we can reach it. What about Ray? Z asked quietly. Ara closed her eyes. We hope. Hours passed. No sound from the surface. Morrow remained silent, waiting. Then, a sound. Someone crawling into the tunnel. Era grabbed a weapon. She stepped forward. A voice. Don't shoot. Ray, bloody, limping, burned, but alive. Z ran to him and hugged him tightly. Ray fell to his knees, holding her. You're okay? Yes. He looked at Ara. Go, now. We don't have much time. Can you walk? Not well, he said. But I'll crawl if I have to. They left the shelter behind. Morrow stayed, its lights flickering, as they entered. The tunnel, the core sealed the entrance, permanently. On the surface, the enemy searched through rubble, but the heart of the home, the one built from trash, from hope, from stubborn human hands, was gone. Buried, but not dead. Far above, inside the enemy ship, the same voice spoke again. The human escaped, it said. Good, the other replied. Now he will lead us to the child. Should we pursue? No, we let them run, because the child is waking up, and when she does, a pause. We follow the signal. Humanity at its best, the tunnel was cold and narrow. Dust fell from the ceiling with every step. Metal groaned overhead like a dying beast. But still, they kept walking. Ray limped, his arm wrapped in makeshift bandages. Each step sent pain through his body, but he didn't stop. Era helped him when he stumbled. Z walked silently, gripping his hand tightly. They were 30 kilometers in, halfway to the Green Path Echo, the extraction zone, the place where a signal might reach the last surviving human ark. Mars. But behind them, buried under trash and steel, they'd left something more than just shelter. They had left behind a life. A strange, fragile life they'd built from junk and kindness. And now, there was no turning back. The further they moved, the more alien the tunnel became. The walls changed from rusted human metal to smooth black stone marked with glowing blue veins. Technology older than either race. Alive. Ancient. This isn't human, Ray muttered. Not mine either, Era said quietly. This is precursor tech, the ones who came before. The path led them to a chamber so large it echoed with their footsteps. At the center stood a tower, floating in the air, humming softly, and Z walked directly toward it. Z. Stop, Ray called. But the child didn't hear, or didn't care. She reached the base of the tower, and it responded. Light shot upward. Symbols lit up across the walls. A pulse echoed through the ground. For one moment, the entire tunnel system felt alive. And then something even stranger happened. The tower projected an image, a memory, not from Z, but from the world. They saw it. Millennia ago, the galaxy was one. No war, no factions. Dozens of species living in peace. The precursors were caretakers. They created structures like this, to hold memories, preserve stories, and protect balance. But then came the division. Greed. Fear. War. The precursors disappeared. Some say they fled. Others believe they evolved into something else, but they left behind keys. Z had awakened one. The tower's lights flickered. A voice, not in words, spoke in their minds. The child carries the bond. She is memory, she is future, she must be protected. Then, silence. Z stepped back. What just happened? Ray whispered. Era looked pale. She didn't just trigger it. She was recognized by it. But why her? I don't know, Era said. But whatever she is, others will want her. Not to protect, to control. They kept moving. At the edge of the tunnels, they reached the surface. The world outside had changed again. The sky was darker. Ships hovered far in the distance. Smoke rose from cities once full of life. The ground was cracked like dry skin, broken by too many bombs. And yet, in the far horizon, a green flare blinked softly. The extraction zone. How long? Ray asked. 10 kilometers, Era said. But open land, no cover. Ray checked the scanner. We move fast, no lights. We reach it before nightfall, but it wouldn't be that easy. Halfway across the broken field, Z stopped. They're here, she whispered. Ray raised his rifle. What do you see? Not see, she said. Feel. Morrow's pieces. A tiny chip Ray had taken from the shelter and placed in Z's coat. Began to blink, warning. Then the scanner picked it up too. 3 heat signatures. Fast. Not flying. Running. Collectors. They hadn't come from the sky. They had followed them from below. Ray grabbed Z and ran. Era fired blindly behind them with a stolen plasma rifle. The land was dead and flat. No hills, no rocks, no places to hide. But then, from the side, a blast of red light tore through one of the collectors. A human gun. More figures appeared from behind an old satellite dish. 5 people. Armored, masked. One held a heavy rail rifle. Another waved a signal flare. Friendly, someone yelled. Ray couldn't believe it. You're from the Ark? Resistance unit from Mars, the man shouted. We heard your signal, another blast echoed. The last 2 collectors charged. Ray shielded Z, but she stepped forward and raised her hand. The chip in her coat pulsed, and something inside the ground responded. A shockwave erupted, not of fire, but sound. The collectors froze. Their bodies stiffened, then slowly collapsed. Everyone was silent. What was that? One soldier asked. You just saw why the whole galaxy wants her, Ray said. They reached the extraction point at nightfall. Hidden ship built into the ground, cloaked under ancient tech. The hatch opened when Z approached. Inside, warm lights. Clean air. A different world. As the ship lifted, Ray sat beside Era. You made it, she said. Not alone, he replied. Not this time. Z curled up in a seat, asleep for the first time in days. In peace. Ray watched her. You think Mars will be safe? He asked. For a while, Era said. But not forever. Not for her. Then we'll build something. Again, like before. Era looked at him. This time, we'll build it with others. Ray smiled. Yeah, this time it's not just survival. It's a beginning. But as they left the atmosphere far above, inside the enemy's command ship, a figure watched the escape from a dark screen. The human bonded with the child, the voice said. Another replied, then it begins. Should we prepare the harvest fleet? A pause. No, the leader said. Let them believe they are safe. We want the girl to grow before we take her. The Great Escape Mars was red, dry, and full of stories buried beneath its dust. Once it had been a frontier, wild and dangerous. Now it was humanity's last home. Not much, but enough. The colony, Arcab 7, was carved deep into the rock, hidden from orbit by a magnetic veil. Thousands lived there. Soldiers, scientists, children, refugees. They called it the Ember Cradle. And now, 3 new souls had arrived. Ray stepped off the ship slowly, his body still bruised, still tired. But his eyes were awake. Z held his hand tightly. Her coat was patched, her shoes worn, but inside her eyes, something shimmered. Not fear anymore, but power she didn't understand yet. Ara walked behind them, scanning the colony's buildings. Tall structures made from salvaged steel and redstone connected by underground tunnels. Humans and aliens worked side by side. Rare cooperation built out of shared suffering. This place is alive, she said. Barely, replied the officer guiding them. But it's home. They walked past children playing with glowing drones. A human child offered Z a fruit. She didn't take it. Not yet. Ray bent down to her level. You're safe here. It's okay. Z looked up at him. For how long? He had no answer. 3 days passed. Tests were run. Blood taken. Scans completed. The scientists wanted answers. How Z had awakened ancient systems. How she survived the pod. How she shut down the collectors with a wave of her hand. She's not a weapon, Ray told them. No, one of the scientists said. She's something worse. She's hope. And hope scares people more than bombs. The council called a meeting. Leaders of the Ark, war veterans, alien ambassadors. No one trusted each other fully, but all agreed on one thing. Z had changed everything. If they find out she's here, one said, they will send fleets. They will burn this colony down. Then we move her, another argued. Send her deeper, to Titan. Erase her name. No, Ray said. You don't get to hide her like a secret. You'd rather we fight the unknown for a child? The council leader asked. Ray stood slowly. I'd fight an entire galaxy, because she's not just a child. She's proof that something better exists, and if we don't protect her, then we're not worth saving. Era added, my people were hunted for this knowledge. The precursors left her something, not to destroy, to restore. Restore what? Someone asked. Balance, she said. Memory. Peace. But peace was short. That night, the alarms screamed, not from the sky, but from below. Something had infiltrated the mines under the colony. Ray grabbed his rifle. Era took Z's hand. A soldier ran past them shouting. The lower gates were breached. They came through tunnels we didn't know existed. How many? The soldier looked pale. Not many, just one. Ray joined the strike team. They moved through flickering tunnels, red lights flashing. They reached the mining shaft. Now, collapsed. Fire burned in the distance. Then the lights cut out. Darkness. Breathing. Then, movement. Too fast to see. Too quiet to be human. One by one, the soldiers were pulled into the shadows. Ray stood alone now, facing the thing. It stepped into the light. Tall, black, plated in armor that shimmered like water. A collector, but different, evolved. It spoke in a voice like broken glass. The child does not belong to you. Ray aimed. Fired. The creature vanished and reappeared behind him. Ray dodged, barely. It struck him across the chest. He hit the ground, coughing blood, but he smiled, because behind him, Z stood in the tunnel. The creature paused. You are not ready, it whispered to her. Z stepped forward. Her voice was calm. Maybe, but neither are you. She touched the wall. The stone rippled. Morrow's chip, still hidden in her coat, activated. The entire tunnel lit with blue light. The creature screamed, twisted, shook, then exploded into a mist of sparks. After the battle, the council had no more questions. Z had defended them. No ships, no weapons, just a child. Born in war, raised in ruins, now standing between worlds. Weeks passed. They built her a room in the highest tower of Arkhab. Not a prison, not a lab, a real home. Walls covered in her drawings. The ceiling showed a painted sky just like the one Ray built her long ago. But she didn't sleep much. Each night, she stood at the window, looking at the stars. Waiting. One night, Ray joined her. You okay? He asked. They're still out there, Z said. Yes. They're not done. No. She looked at him. You're not afraid? He took her hand. I'm always afraid, he said. But fear isn't the end. What is? Choice, he said. And you get to make yours now. What if I choose to fight? Ray smiled. Then I'll fight with you. Above Mars, hidden behind a shattered moon, the enemy ship remained, watching. The voice returned. The girl is becoming what we feared. Then we burn the system? Another asked. No, the leader replied. We do what we've always done. Which is? We wait. Because now, others will come. They always do, when humans rise. Deep beneath Arkhab 7, inside a sealed vault, the memory tower Z activated had begun to glow again. The symbols changed. A map appeared. Not of Mars, not of Earth, but of other towers. Still hidden, still asleep, still waiting. And at the center, one symbol blinked slowly. A human hand holding an alien star. The beginning of something new. The end, for now.